Well, I mean, it was better in many ways, but the Wild still lost to the Ottawa Senators in a game that they just flat out should have had. And so we will break down all of the action on today's Locked On Wild postcast.
You are Locked On Wild postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a Locked On Wild postcast, recapping a 2-1 shootout loss to the Ottawa Senators here today. Thank you to all of those who joined us for the live stream during the game today. That was a ton of fun. But the game itself, kind of a snoozer. And yes, I think you can say that there were points of this game that were better than this team has played previous to this game. But as we've seen so far this season, you get better work on the penalty kill. You get, better work in nets and better work defensively. And then the offense just completely goes to sleep. It just, again, the consistency just continues to be an issue with this team. And what on earth was going on in overtime? I mean, you have Caprizov and Matt Zuccarello, who force, I think, 3 consecutive turnovers in the offensive zone and manage to get 0 shots on net. That you can't have that. You can't have that with those guys in that spot of the game. And it just felt like all in all, this team played better. But the moment that Ottawa tied the score, they turned to playing not to lose, and everybody got tense. Sticks were being gripped tighter. And so you come out of what should be, I think, a promising step in the right direction with just another game similar to what we've seen so far this season. It's just that the offense, was not able to make up for better work defensively. And I mean, let's start with the lead story here. Kirill Kaprizov, 1 shot in the entirety of a game. I don't know. And in overtime, had the puck right in front of the net, and he is waiting for Matt Zuccarello to crash to pass it to him when he has an opportunity right in front of the net to try to go wedge one behind Forsberg. And he opts in that situation to pass because he doesn't want to shoot the puck. Dean was exasperated after the game. Russo asked him point blank, what's going on with Kaprizov? And he took a good, I think, 2 or 3 seconds to answer. And he said that they don't know either. I don't know what is going on, but it's something it just is leading him to be a complete non-factor. Non-factor is the only way to describe what you're seeing from Kirill. And Alex and I talked during the stream. I thought Kirill was skating a little better in this game, but he's just not generating. This offense didn't generate enough chances in this game to be able to come away with a win. And so that overtime was infuriating. I figured we were headed to a shootout the day that Gary Bettman endorsed shootouts as a great part of the game. Just maddening down the stretch, and it erases what was some better effort for this team in the key areas. Penalty kill looked really good. They went to a diamond formation, it looked like, on the penalty kill, and focused more on just staying home and defending the net and making plays there. So that paid off. Filip Gustavsson looked good in this one, facing a speedy Ottawa Senators team that was able to get plenty of chances. Gustavsson was 30 of 31, and the one goal that he gave up was just a nightmare change. I mean, you get a puck that's turned over and sent all the way back down, and you immediately try to change all 5 guys. Ottawa has one guy on the far side of the ice and he's able to walk up unchecked. So you're seeing some of those mistakes that are leading to goals for the opponents. And so as much as I want to take this as a sign of progress, you can in key areas, but in some areas, again, it's still just more of the same. So I don't know what it's going to take to get Caprizov back on track, but you got to do something. And I think putting him further down in the lineup, dropping him off the top line, not treating that top as the top line for a while, you have to do something, because he's listing through these games, and this team is not built in a way in which they can offset his lack of production by just being a passenger. So that is, I think, the most infuriating thing here is you are seeing opportunities for him to shoot the puck, and there end up being passes to opponents so that they can shoot the puck, rather than Kaprizov taking the shots himself. It is just so off of what we have seen in previous seasons, and it just every game it just continues. So I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know if Bill Guerin needs to sit down with him and say, pull your head out of your behind. I don't know what's going on. It's concerning every game that it happens. So, Gustavsson was better. The penalty kill, if they can continue in that regard of how they played today, should improve. But today was the offense not generating enough. And so it's just pick your poison with this team. And that speaks to, I think, what a lot of people have been saying from the get-go, which we've tried to delay. It's not a good team at this point. It's not a good team at this point in the season. And these issues just continue to plague this team every game that they play. So a very boring game, to be honest, in this one, but great that Marco Rossi was able to grab his 6th goal of the season. Dean talked about him after the game. Just continuing to be one of the best players on this team. Rossi continues to be one of the focal points for this team, and he just continues to do all the right things. He's winning faceoffs. He's winning puck battles. He is playing aggressive. He's playing confident. How about him being the net front guy on that shot from Brock Faber, getting in front of the goalie and tipping that one in for a redirection? He continues to get rewarded for doing all of the things that this coaching staff wanted him to do last season when he was down in Iowa and working on them. He continues to be rewarded for putting that extra work in. It's a great learning opportunity for a lot of different players on this team to take his lead, and they need to try to do as much of that battling as Rossi is to this point in the season. So take note of what Marco Rossi is providing to this team, and there are plenty of players higher up in the lineup that could learn from that and use it on the ice. Now, obviously, not having Ryan Hartman in this one was tough, but Nick Patan and Vinny Lettieri provided plenty of good minutes on the ice when they were out on the ice against the Senators. So those guys continue to make the most of their opportunities, but you got to find a way to get more shots on net and more opportunities against a very beatable goalie. And what's going on with the number of times that this team comes in with a pass or a shot and are trying to fling a backhander at the goalie? Like, does anybody else notice? It seems like this team is sending a high volume of backhand shots. Zach Bogosian had one. there were a couple of others where they're trying for backhands, and do you need to get better position going in towards the goalie? You'd think so, but I don't know. Just it speaks to more that this team just is not confident in what they're doing, to the point that anytime the opponent scores on them, there's a mentality of, here we go again. Here comes the goal barrage that is going to be too much to overcome. So some positives, but again, just kind of the same old for this Wild team here in this one. We'll get to your comments, as well as taking a look at tomorrow's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, because you get the Ottawa Senators here today, and congratulations, your reward is playing a team that hung 7 on you the last time you played them earlier this season. So we'll talk about the Maple Leafs game as well as we continue today's Locked On Wild postcast after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. If you are someone like me who loves to live in the moment, you have probably gone through the ticket buying experience the day of an event, the day of a game, the day of a concert, the day of a comedy show. You probably have also dealt with expensive tickets, or worst case scenario, you show up to the event the day of and your seat is obstructed. Nobody wants to deal with any of that. Game Time is here to help make your ticket buying experience as stress-free as possible. They offer last-minute ticket deals, plus, most importantly, views from every seat in the venue. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Today's Locked On Wild postcast is also brought to you by BetterHelp. This time of year can be a lot for people to handle, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change. Something to look forward to, something to make you feel grounded, or to give you the tools to manage everything going on. If you have thoughts of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNHL today to get a 10% discount on your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNHL. Minnesota Wild lose 2-1 in a shootout to the Ottawa Senators here this today. And let's get to your comments, because it was just another one of those, I think, kind of listless games for this Wild team. It was boring, but again, you got to find ways for this offense to get going. And when it's not the offense, it's the defense, it's the goaltending. It's just put all the problems for this team on a wheel and spin it, and you'll probably be pretty close as to what is ailing this team on a game-by-game basis. We talked about it a little bit already, but Mike noting that things are not okay in the world that is Kirill Kaprizov. Again, I can't believe that at the end of that game, right in front of the net, and he's not even looking to shoot. He's looking just to pass to Zuccarello to give him an opportunity. There were like 4 other Senators players in the area, 3, since it was 3-on-3, 3 Senators players in the area that all get to that puck before Zuccarello does. And it just leads to a mess. It creates just all sorts of chaos. Something is going on. And I don't know. We've speculated on injury, whether it's lingering injury, if he's just not trusting his ability to do all the things that he did before the injury. Something else is going on. He seems distracted. He seems disinterested. He is just not even not even close to what he has been previously. Now, it is interesting. We'll get to these Gary comments, and then I want to make another point as well. I recommend a line of Rossi, Caprizov, and Johansson. Put Zuccarello on the second line. I think Caprizov will do better with two guys who are fast and skilled. I would be all for giving that a shot and seeing if that is kind of the shot in the arm. Matt Boldy, another player who we have talked about not looking like he needs to early on in the season. Matt Boldy, I thought, looked really good today. He had a couple of opportunities in which he came real close to scoring, but he was shooting the puck every time that he got it, and was just being aggressive, which is going to be what gets him going. Being aggressive and taking advantage of opportunities to shoot the puck is what's going to get Boldy back on track. And so you put Zuccarello, who is a playmaker, on that line. I think that would be fine. I think they just need to continue to try different things and not just rely on the Zuccarello chemistry to get him out of it, but just continue to try different combinations to get Caprizov out of whatever on earth this is that continues to happen to him. Gary also noting, I was on the Fire Dean bandwagon, but now I'm not. This is a mediocre team. Parity rules the NHL, and the Wild are a middling team at best. Honestly, we're, I think, seeing what is going on with these cap hits to Parise and Suter, is that there is a ceiling that this team is just not going to be able to get over. And so we knew, if we go all the way back to the start of the season, we knew that this was going to be a rough year. We knew that at some points, not being able to put enough skilled players on a team, and $14 million can buy you a couple of pretty good ones. Not being able to put those types of skill players on this team, there's just going to be a ceiling that this team cannot get over. And I think we're seeing some of that, especially with Kirill Kaprizov just not looking anywhere close to what he has in the past. That's a hurdle that this team cannot climb either. So yeah, it's a team that's not a hugely fun watch right now. And I guess we'll see if Kaprizov gets out of this, what that will do to get this team back on track. Dan joining us. What's up, Dan? On a positive, the defensive structure looked better as a whole than pretty much any game this year. Yeah, absolutely did. The Wild did a better job, I think, of not letting as many shots get to Filip Gustavsson. There were a lot more shots from the perimeter, which allowed for Gustavsson to have easy opportunities to make saves because he was able to track them all the way. So I think the defense played one of its better games so far this season, but it's something that, you get that fixed, and now another tire is flat on this team, and that the offense and the power play can't get going. So you see positives, you see penalty kill, defense, and goaltending positives, and then you see continued things that continue to go wrong in other areas. We are underselling, I think, the fact that Freddie Gaudreau not being able to assist in the shootout has led to the Wild not being able to win in shootouts. I am very anxious to see what Gaudreau looks like, because in the few games in which Gaudreau played after that hit he took, courtesy of Ryan Reeves against Toronto, he didn't look right, at all. And so getting an opportunity to let that injury heal up, we'll see if Freddie G can be a little bit of a shot in the arm for this team when he comes back. NASCAR Kelly joining us. When I heard Kirill's parents were with him in Sweden, I was hoping he was going to look better today. Unfortunately, he was worse. And so I don't know. At this point, it's not nothing. It's a little bit more, I think, than just a slow start at this point. Quadrum, curious take. Cap has always been a little quiet when speaking, but he's always played loud. But lately, he's playing much like how he's been with the media. So I wonder if it's due to the A being too much, and that could certainly be part of it. But at this point, it just seems like something is very wrong. To the point that he just is not able to do the things that he has been previously doing. There are a lot of different possibilities, but it's just something that's it doesn't look good. Sandell, even Ovi had off years. Yeah, Ovi has had, all players have rough stretches. But I think the thing that's concerning is just passing up these shot opportunities. It'd be one thing if he was shooting the puck a ton and just not not scoring. It'd be one thing if he's just still getting the shots up, but he's not. I mean, you go through the entirety of a game against a team like this with one shot on net, and that's what you can't have. I just want to point out as well, Todd wondering about Ryan Hartman, and I know it was answered in the comments, but Hartman was sick today, which is why he didn't play. And Dean Evison said after the game, they're not sure what's going to happen with him. Hopefully he is able to play tomorrow, but again, his was illness, not injury, which is a relief. But that was another guy that they probably could have used in this game today. The shootout too. Those shootout attempts. I mean, Zuccarello missing, Caprizov going, trying to do almost the same thing on that left side, and then Eriksson X move, just completely missing the mark on the back end. Yeah, it was a team that very much, I think, just gets so tense if they're not leading that they revert back to all sorts of really bad habits. And, I think that's why we just continue to say that this team needs a win in the worst way. They need like 2 or 3 wins in a row just to get back to playing how they have in previous seasons. Wild win tomorrow if Toronto plays Reeves and Klingberg. I mean, Johnny Klingberg has not been particularly good for Toronto this season, and had a chance to hop on with a couple of podcast hosts that talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs on the regular. They're not fans of what he has brought to that team. And so you throw in the fact that Reeves is essentially a non-factor. If they both find their way into the lineup, you could very well be right that the Wild need, something like that to be able to get them back on track. It could be the other way, though, that you play the Maple Leafs, those guys both get in the lineup, and Reeves scores his first goal of the season, and Klingberg has like 4 points. That just seems like that's how this coin tends to also go for this Minnesota Wild team. Sandal, the Wild just need to heat up at the right time just to become the new Panthers of the playoffs. I mean, at the end of the day, if you get enough points to get into the postseason, you're playing your best down the stretch, and anything can happen. We've seen teams just get back on track right before the postseason starts, and they play their best hockey. The Panthers absolutely did that last season. I just would like to see some signs that things are moving in the right direction collectively. And yes, defense was good today. Penalty kill was good. Gustavsson was good. It was better in some ways, but again, offense couldn't get it done. Power play 0 for 4. And in OT, you're essentially just skating through it to get to the shootout. Those are the things that you can't have. So at this point, that's about all I got for this one. We will do it all over again tomorrow. We'll have the Sweden stream for you in the morning. Then we'll have a postcast breaking the action down afterwards. So make sure to join us then, as we hope that the Wilds can end their Sweden trip with a win against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who we saw what happened the last time the Wild played Toronto. It was a 7-4 loss. They were down 4-3 at one point, and then all of a sudden Toronto just completely beat the brakes off of them down the stretch. And so we'll see what happens. It'll be Fleury tomorrow, and one of these games, hopefully Kaprizov gets his ass figured out, because it's a concern. So that's it. Yeah, as Dan notes, if Reeves scores tomorrow, it's all over. Pack it in. Don't you speak it into existence. I probably jinxed it, because Gary Bettman today talking about the shootout, saying that there isn't a shootout problem in the NHL, and then game goes to a shootout, and so yeah, just my luck. But yeah, that'll do it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for hanging with us all day long. Ron was with us in the stream. A lot of those folks that are in the comments right now were with us for the stream today too. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with both the stream and now the postcast too, and we'll do it all over again tomorrow. So make sure to join us then. But that wraps up yet another Locked On Wild postcast. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and find us on your favorite podcast platforms. We will catch you for tomorrow's game with yet another edition of Locked On Wild. 7 a.m. puck drop tomorrow against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll catch you bright and early for yet another game for the Minnesota Wild. See you tomorrow. Wild fall 2-1 in the shootouts. That is today's Locked On Wild postcast.